everybody, and welcome to episode 135 of the Ron and Brian podcast. I am Ron, as always, joined by Mr. Steal Your Wife on her birthday, Brian. Brian, how are you this week, my friend?
I'm going to tell you something. I am doing splendid. It was going to be a very shaky day. I'm sure that a lot of our viewers right now are still digging themselves out of the great nor'easter of winter 2020. I myself hunkered down here for the long haul. I thought that this was going to be the end times. Turned out not to be.
All right. Don't know if you saw Binghamton, New York, 41 inches of snow.
Wow, it's more than your mother got.
That is ridiculous. So, mom jokes, so déclassé. Anyway, let's get things rolling along here with our drink of the week.
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the week. Pleasure.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
All right, Brian, what are you drinking on the podcast this week?
What am I drinking this week? It starts off with a little bit of red wax, comes out of with notes of rye, spice, barley, butterscotch, and vanilla. We're talking about Maker's Mark.
Very nice. On the rocks, are we doing it?
One large ice cube, my friend. One large ice cube.
I gotta say, I am a fan of the Maker's Mark. Maybe a little bit more of the Maker's 46, but Maker's Mark, pretty good as well.
Well, this is how you know when people get you, when people understand you. My next door neighbors got it for me as a holiday present.
Well, that's very nice of them. Very, very happy holiday, Merry Christmas of them.
It was very pleasant. I appreciate it. Ron, what are you drinking?
So I went back to our old friends at Broken Goblet Brewing. They had a big can release last weekend, releasing another line of their Wasteland Wanderers pastry stouts, which I did pick those up. But they also released a fourth stout working with Fritz's Bakery out of Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Fritz's has been around. They've been the go-to spot for sticky buns for the last 46 years. And so that brings us to Fritz's Sticky Bun Stout. Pastry stout with white chocolate and cinnamon, and canned on nitro, so you get the nice little nitro head on there. This will be my first time trying this beer. I drank all the other pastry stouts this week. It'll be my first time doing the Sticky Bun Stout.
That has got a beautiful color.
Oh, good Lord, that's delicious.
Walk me through it.
I mean, it's creamy because of the nitro, and then you get the cinnamon, you get the smoothness and the sweetness from the white chocolate. You don't get bitterness that you sometimes get from a stout. I'll be drinking this tonight.
Now, are you limiting yourself to one, or will you be having many?
I don't know. I might have to have another one. This is scanning in at 6.4%, so not too bad for a stout. We'll see how it goes. That's an interesting fact. Apparently, Brian, Sticky Buns is your nickname.
This is true. About 4 years ago, I went to a bar on 24th and 9th. Just blacked out. Lost my pants and earned my nickname.
Okay. How much money did you lose that night?
I made $438.
Well, clearly you were doing something right.
Listen, I've got the physique that people love.
Reminds me of a joke, but maybe some other time.
Maybe during After Dark?
Oh, I think it would be a perfect After Dark special. But in the meantime, I should probably get the sound effects queued up here, but let's get into This Week in Racism.
This
Week
in
racism.
racism.
Bunch of stories again this week, not 2 pages like last week, just 1 page, but enough ignorance and racism to go around. In Sacramento, California, a virtual talent show held for students at Sacramento State University was Zoom bombed by 2 people that filled the chat with racial slurs. One posted, "I hate N-words, kill all N-words," all in caps. And another wrote, "Just going to be honest, fuck Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, OD on drugs." The university has been unable to find out who was responsible and is currently crafting an anti-racist initiative.
Wow.
Going into the state of Georgia, Cyberdyne robot and U.S. Senator Kelly Loeffler posed for a photo with former KKK leader during a campaign rally, prompting her campaign to comment that Loeffler had, quote, "no idea who the man was."
I have to agree with, I have to cut her a little slack on this one. If you are a U.S. Senator, I imagine walking down the street, people will automatically want to take photos with you. Maybe not every time you walk out, maybe not all the time or whatnot, but I imagine this is happening constantly, and you may not have the opportunity to check the CV of everybody that is asking you for a photo.
I will say this, two things. One, she was at a campaign rally for that Marjorie woman, the QAnon candidate, and this gentleman was there and was actually kicked out of that very campaign event when they found out who he was. But again, even if she doesn't remember him, it is a little ironic that all the racists tend to show up at these GOP campaign events.
I am not defending the fact that the Republicans are not the party of white supremacy. I'm only pointing out that in this one instance, I don't know that you can say that she is completely in the wrong here.
All right. Well, let's see who this man was that she had her picture taken with. His name is Chester Doles, a decades-long member of the KKK and the Neo-Nazi National Alliance. In 1993, he nearly beat a black man to death, did some jail time for that, and he was one of the marchers in Charlottesville in 2017. He has tattoos of swastikas and one that says white power, and is a vocal supporter of the GOP in the state of Georgia.
Okay, so he's a bad guy. Not the kind of person you want to take a photograph with.
Exactly.
Granted. Understood. I don't know that she's in a position where she should, if she had recognized him and said, "Hey, you're the white supremacist," we'd be coming after her for being able to identify white supremacists out of nowhere.
Listen,
and let's face it, most of the people she's taking photographs with are white supremacists at this point.
You're playing devil's advocate, and I can respect that.
Thank you.
All right. Next, going out to Wyoming, state legislator Rep. Cyrus Western thought it'd be a good idea to congratulate Wyoming's first black sheriff, Albany County Sheriff Aaron Applehans, by posting a tweet featuring the black sheriff from the movie Blazing Saddles, asking, "Where the white women at?"
Oh, fucking white people. Why do you do this shit?
Gonna let that sink in for just a moment. Anyway, Representative Western deleted the tweet and issued an apology after an outpouring of criticism, saying that he was just pointing out the fact that it was a black sheriff in the movie. Applehans did speak with Western and said that he accepted his apology, but hopes that the representative will do better moving forward.
No.
Let's go across the pond, Brian, out to the
California?
UK. Out to the UK, the British Horse Racing Authority is reviewing the process in which it approves horse names after a runner was allowed to compete under a racial slur. The horse in question belongs to owner/trainer Dave Evans and was named Jungle Bunny. Dave's wife, Emma, said that the name was a, quote, innocent mistake and derived from the name of the filly's sire, Bungle in the Jungle. However, a review of Dave Evans' other horses show names such as Black Dave, Homeboy, and Zulu Xander. Emma was also very upset that their Sunday was ruined with being accused of being racist. So,
really. Well, now their Thursday has been also.
Yes. Coming back across the pond to Long Island, the North Shore Hebrew Academy High School's website was hacked with anti-Semitic images, slurs, and songs this past Monday. The homepage was splattered with a swastika and a clip of marching SS guards. Other pages were defaced with statements like the kike race and North Shore Hebrew Death Camp. Personal information of students and teachers was also leaked in the breach. Nassau County Police are currently investigating the incident. We also, again, this week we had...
It's Long Island. It's Long Island. What can you really expect?
2 weeks in a row, we have police shooting and killing a black man. Last week, 22-year-old Joshua Feast was shot and killed by Lamarck police officer Jose Santos. An independent autopsy has revealed that Feast was shot in the back, confirming eyewitness accounts. Neighbors have claimed that Santos shot Feast while he was running away, and that while Santos called out Feast's name, he never instructed him to stop running or to put up his hands. They also allege that Santos kicked Feast when he was on the ground. The Galveston County Sheriff has said that investigators in his office have told him that body camera footage of the shooting shows Feast aiming his gun at Santos before running away, but he hasn't seen the video himself. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, who's representing Feast's family, has asked to allow the family to view the body camera footage. Crump has said that Santos is the same officer seen in a video from a 2013 arrest in Galveston, in which a group of officers is seen beating and kicking a black man and holding his head underwater along a beach.
Are they trying to drown a guy?
What's that?
What, are they trying to drown the guy?
I mean, maybe just a little waterboarding. I don't know.
That's
Hard
terrible.
But that's the kind of guy that's apparently allowed to carry a gun and continue to work for the Lamarck Police Department.
Well, remind me never to go there.
So we will keep an eye on that and update you as we get more info on that case. But in the meantime, it's Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
I narrowed it down to two things, but I could not really identify one and say it was the only thing that was bothering me.
Okay.
First one is the United States Postal Service. They saved the day for the presidency, granted. However, I had ordered some items through the internet, was scheduled to be delivered, and I noticed on the USPS website during the tracking function that it was in Queens, scheduled for delivery. Ron, you may this one may set off some alarm bells in your world. I get an email from the vendor saying that my item has been reported unable to be delivered and is being returned.
Oh, boy.
I will be receiving a credit in 3 to 5 business days.
This nonsense again.
It was in Queens. It traveled from California. I mean, my butt plugs were so close to being delivered.
Tantalizingly close to your little starfish.
So fucking pissed. The other thing that's bothering me this week is New York State Governor Mario Cuomo and New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio shutting down indoor dining in New York City as our COVID rates hover around the 5% positivity rate, despite acknowledging that there is no evidence that indoor dining has been part of the rise in COVID cases in New York.
And that is a big sticking point for a number of restaurateurs right now, not just in New York. I know in Pennsylvania, in any area that they're being closed down, is the rate of infection is significantly lower from what it seems in indoor dining than in grocery stores, shops. Yes. One thing that they show a lot is we have our Willow Grove Mall here, which their food court is allowed to be open. And someone posted a photo of just hundreds of people in the food court standing around, masks off, because they don't have to have the mask. And
right.
and restaurateurs are like, is that safer than us enforcing protocols and keeping exactly? So you can definitely see the frustration.
It's just, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a conspiracy theorist when it comes to this. I genuinely I don't believe that there's some like darker secret where they're trying to run out the restaurant business and whatnot. I feel like they're doing their best Their best is not very good, but they're human and they're politicians, so I don't have a lot of faith in them to begin with. It just feels like in this case here in New York City, we are being punished by having our restaurants closed for people who are meeting in larger gatherings indoors during in their private homes, because that can't be regulated, that can't be enforced. We're having our restaurants taken away from us.
They're going for
that's my beef.
I got you. I don't know if you saw this story real quick before we jump off of your beef out in San Diego.
San Diego, I believe that means whale's vagina.
Yes. So a California judge today cleared the way for all restaurants in San Diego County to resume on-site dining because the county had been sued by 2 San Diego strip clubs, stating that they had been enforcing COVID protocols and therefore should not have enforced to close down. The strip clubs won their case, and then the judge also extended that ruling to all restaurants as well. So restaurants will be able to reopen while they figure this out in the courts.
And that's fine, because California is not having any type of rise in coronavirus. So I'm perfectly comfortable that San Diego restaurants are now completely open.
Well, and
good for them.
The 2 strip clubs were Cheetah's Gentlemen's Club and Pacers Showgirls International. But listen to these protocols, Brian. They were keeping strippers 15 feet from tables, allowing no more than 1 stripper per stage, and requiring the strippers and other employees to wear masks.
So you couldn't get within 15 feet of a stripper?
You apparently could not.
As a customer?
As a customer, you could not get within 15 feet of a stripper.
I would save a lot of money if that were the case. I would save a lot of money if I could not get within 15 feet. You would need some
arm strength to get your money up on the stage from 15 feet.
Because at that point, I think, common sense would have kicked in and been like, Brian, this really isn't worth it for you. You need to just walk away. Walk away.
Right. Anyway, my beef, Brian, this week is the snow that you mentioned earlier. So we got probably 6 or 7 inches here. It then switched over to some rain and sleet. I am not the young man that I used to be. And you may not have noticed, Brian, but I've skipped arm day at the gym for about the last 49 years, though. So it was just frozen slush under the snow trying to shovel it out. Took me like a good 3 hours to get the sidewalk and driveway and everything cleaned. And then I was just like, I'm not cleaning both cars. It's just, I hate the winter. The people are like, oh, I love the winter. I love the snow. Nah, I hate it.
No, you don't. Nobody does.
Give me the fall. I like the fall. Winter's horrible. It's cold now. It's snowy. Yeah. It's bleak. It's just miserable.
I do not like winter. Fall. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I like hoodie weather. I like a light jacket weather.
Right.
I like that period of time where I stop sweating in public, and before I need to wear a scarf and gloves.
There you go.
That's my sweet spot.
You know what else you like, Brian? You like picking winning football teams. Yes, that's right. It is once again time for the NFL Locks of the Week. Brian, if I may just jump in real quick and say kudos. You were looking at the Niners, favored by 3 against Washington. You're like, you know what? I think Washington, best team in the NFC East right now. Nailed it. Washington up 23-15. And then you saw Tennessee minus 7.5 against the Jags. You're like, Jags are going to challenge the Jets for the worst record in the league. I like Tennessee. Sure enough, they win 31-10, continuing your unbeaten streak this year. How do you do it?
Yes. You know how I do it? I do it by looking at you and taking and watching your lead and following in your wake. Because as much as you are trying to send some accolades in my direction, I will block them, send it right back in your direction, Ron. You also went 2-0. You looked out there and you saw some road favorites that you said, no, not this week. New Orleans, the Saints went into Philadelphia, 6.5-point favorites. Eagles, you sat there and said, I know my Eagles, they will win this one. Eagles won the whole game, 24-21. Then you saw Green Bay going into Detroit, laying 7.5, and said, you know what? I think the Packers may win by 7, but they're not going to win by more than 7.5. Packers win 31-24. Ron 2-0 for the 14th straight week. That's impressive. How do you do it?
I don't know. I mean, I got on the Hurts train, and everyone here in Philadelphia is ready to trade Carson Wentz away. I said, why? We got Jalen Hurts. He can beat the Saints, and we'll see what happens this week. But Brian, who do you like this upcoming weekend?
This week, I like Cleveland laying 6 against the New Jersey Giants. I watched the Giants last week, or at least part of it, and they looked god-fucking awful. I think they're going to do it again. 49ers -3 at Dallas. I think the 49ers going to rebound from their loss last week against Washington. This week again, Browns, Niners, book it, bet it, make money.
All right. I like Colts on the road. No, actually, Colts at home, going up against the Houston Texans. Colts laying 7.5. Houston's got nothing to play for. I like the Colts there. And then Tampa Bay looking to get a wild card spot. They're going into Atlanta. They're favored by 6. Take Tom Terrific -6. Bet the house. You've probably already bought the Christmas presents, so whatever money is left over, just bet that on these NFL locks of the week. And just keep making money.
Ron, can I ask you a question?
I don't know. Can I? Can you?
What did you eat for dinner tonight?
Actually, tonight I sous vide'd a nice pork tenderloin and gave it a nice, some thyme with some rosemary. Gave it a nice sear at the end, and I cooked up some baby bok choy to go along with it.
Can I ask you a question? And I don't want to cross any lines. And if you see me going in a direction that you're uncomfortable with, point it out to me.
Sure.
It seems like you really went all out on dinner today. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
I mean, not really. It's actually a lot easier than it sounds.
Because yesterday was you had a cause of celebration in your home yesterday, correct?
Yes.
And when I asked what you were making for dinner, I was a little underwhelmed with what you told me. Well, I thought you were going to go. I thought you were going to go overboard in sous vide yesterday. So I was wondering what was the logic in making Beyond Burgers yesterday, but sous videing something today.
So a very good point, and I will tell you what happened. So what Brian is referring to yesterday was my wife's birthday, and so the game.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
The game plan was for me to get dinner from her favorite Chinese restaurant last night.
Okay.
Because the snow was not supposed to start until like 5 o'clock, which would have given me time to go over. Instead, the snow started at 1 o'clock. So by 3 o'clock, the roads were not drivable. So I had to kind of do an audible with what was available.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
Really asking a good question. What oils were used tonight? Good question. Olive oil for the baby bok choy. And then I seared the pork tenderloin in canola oil.
Why canola oil?
Higher smoke point.
I thought avocado oil had the higher smoke point.
Well, higher than olive oil, yes.
I cannot fucking follow the ranking of the oils. Is there a website that will tell you which oils to use when?
I'll get you a poster or a chart or something that maybe will help you out that you can just hang in the kitchen.
And you know I will hang it in the kitchen.
I know. So, Brian, I have to say, you came up with that new bit last week, What Did I Eat? And it inspired me to try and come up with some new bits of my own. So I'd like to try one out right now, if I may be so bold. It's a little something that I'm calling, What Does Brian Know? So where this came from is Brian has been complimenting me over the months as I've been doing various improvements around the house, working on various projects, electrical, plumbing, whatnot. And you've been very impressed with some of the knowledge that I've shown.
Absolutely.
And I've come to realize, you living in an apartment all these years, you are very used to calling your super or somebody to work on things for you.
Correct. However, keep in mind, I did own a home when I was in Florida for 3 years.
Right. Exactly. But
so there was no super.
That was a while ago. So I have 10 questions here. And I want to see, and not all of them are homeowner related, but I think it's all in the same vein. So question 1, can you unclog a toilet?
Yes.
Okay.
I've got a plunger. I've got a plunger, which I have used multiple times.
All right.
And I also have a one of those snakes. I have one of those snakes if the plunger does not work.
All right. Well, then I guess the second question, you'll probably be right in your wheelhouse. Can you unclog a sink?
I would. Okay. I'd probably use the same snake in the sink that I would use on the toilet. I don't know if you're supposed to, but I would try.
We should not do that. Sticking on stinks. What is
whoa. What? So then what am I supposed? Well, you can't have what does Brian know, and if I don't know it, you can't just move forward without telling me. What's the right play there?
You should really, if you have a clog, take apart your P-trap and look in there and see if the clog is there.
Really?
Which leads me to my next question, Brian. What is the purpose of a P-trap on a sink?
The P-trap is shit. You told me when I was in your home. It's to allow gas. It's to allow a space for a buildup of gas in the line.
So no, but you're in the ballpark. The P-trap keeps water inside of it to prevent sewer gases from backing up into your home.
I was close. Come on,
you're in the ballpark. I'll give you a half point for that. All right. Would you turn the water off for your sink or toilet if necessary?
Yes.
Okay.
Toilet. I know how to do it. I only know that because I did not know how to do that until my super came up about a year ago. My roommate had flushed the toilet one evening, and water it came out at this fantastical rate and did not stop. So I had to call my super. And what he did was he showed me exactly how to turn the water off in the toilet. Now, if you're talking about my kitchen sink, would I know what? I'd have no idea.
Okay. I mean, it's pretty much the same way. There should be two knobs under there that shut off the hot and cold water.
Yeah, but this is weird. It's not a knob. On my toilet, I have to take a Phillips screw driver, and there is a screw that gets turned one way or the other on the handle, right near the handle area.
That's just some old plumbing, basically.
Oh yeah. I would. By the way, I never would have guessed it. Like I would have stood there with a bucket, throwing buckets of piss water into my bathtub before I would have thought, hey, let me get a screwdriver and see what happens if I jiggle this.
All right, next up, Brian. What paint sheen is higher, satin or eggshell?
Oh, satin.
Very nice. All right.
Eggshell is the it looks like an eggshell, and satin has more of a shine to it.
All right. Should a pizza box be put into recycling or in the trash?
Wow. I'm going to say that every municipality has different recycling rules.
This one is
the answer
across the board.
The answer is the trash, because recycling should not have any food products in it whatsoever.
All right, so you're doing pretty well here. I mean, I'm gonna put you at a solid B- so far.
How deep are we into this?
You only have 4 more left, but we're
good, because
really,
I am fucking sweating from this shit.
We are getting into the tough ones now. Do you know how to change the oil on a car?
No.
Okay.
When I had a car in Florida, my ex did it.
Okay, fair enough. I only know this because a buddy of mine in college worked at a car rental place, so I could go over there and change my own oil when I needed to.
Okay.
But I'll give you a pass on that. So Brian, can you explain to me, for insulation, like you put in your walls, what is an R value?
It's the number of people that are getting infected based on for each person that already has the COVID virus. I'm going to say the R value is the percent of heat that is leaking out of a house.
I'll give you that one. It is the resistance to heat flow for the insulation.
I figured it's the only thing that insulation would be rated on.
All right. Do you know how to reset a circuit breaker?
Oh, a circuit breaker. Now I have the one where it's just on and off knobs.
That would
But
be
at one
circuit breaker,
point,
yeah.
then I do know how to do that. When I lived in Florida, my home had the what are the
Fuses?
yes, my home had the fuses, a fuse box. That threw me for a fucking loop because each one had like a different rating in terms of the amount of electricity that
Yeah.
it was capable of going through. So if you blew a fuse, you'd have to take it off, go to Home Depot, and show the guy so he would give you the same size one.
Yeah, not every fuse is made the same.
But just so that you know, my circuit breaker is right there by the front door.
All right, good to know. And the last one, how many times a year should you clean your gutters?
I'm going to say twice.
Okay, and when?
I'm going to say at the beginning of the fall and after the winter. Or, excuse me, before spring, because what you want to do is get out as much of the clog before the snow and ice starts to melt.
I mean, it's spring and fall, so I mean, you basically had it. So, I credit to you, my friend. You know more than you let on.
I'm also going to say a lot of those were common sense.
Well, I mean, not everybody has common sense, so the fact that you do, I think, says something. Are you okay now? You need a moment to pat down the flop sweat that was on your head?
If you were here right now, I would have you feel my palms and then the back of my t-shirt, which right now is soaking wet from the stress of that. Wow, I thought I was in for an embarrassment. I did pretty good.
I do have more. We'll hit that a little later in the show, though.
Perfect. Can I ask you a question, Ron?
Real quick before you ask me that question, Billy did have a question as to why we were discussing P-traps while hanging out, and that was because I had to show Brian the laundry sink I had installed, and it got into a whole P-trap, S-trap discussion, which is really too boring to repeat here.
I have a natural inclination for wanting to know things that I don't know. So when Ron sits there and says, oh, the problem was I had an S-trap, but then, I realized when I was installing it, I really needed a P-trap. My brain automatically asks the question of, well, what's the difference between the two?
And now you know.
Ron, as you take a sip, I'd like you to, what are you watching?
I can't say that I watched too much this week, with the exception of the god-awful Christmas special you made me watch. So I don't know if we want to get into that just yet, or if you want to talk about what you're watching.
I would like to make a recommendation. I watched something absolutely incredible on HBO this week.
And what was it? Tell me.
It was called, hold on, because I want to get the name of it absolutely correct. It is, hold up. Here we go. The Bee Gees. How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? Now, if anybody knows me or thinks they know me, y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know me. I do what I want. I do what I want. Anybody who knows me knows that I love the Bee Gees. I am a freak about the Bee Gees. I will sing along to the Bee Gees. I will sing aloud with the Bee Gees. I can appreciate the early Bee Gees, where really they were more known as the harmonizing family of brothers. The disco era of the Bee Gees, as well as their post disco era, which a lot of people kind of frown upon. But holy shit, the Bee Gees were my very first concert. It was probably about maybe 6. I believe it was on the Saturday Night Fever tour that they did. Saw them in Madison Square Garden with my mom and my sister. Anyway, HBO has an incredible documentary. It's about 2 hours long. Could be a little short of it. But it really talks about it goes from their origins in Australia to London, hooking up with one of the guys that was involved in the Beatles management team, their move to New York in America, how they gravitated towards Miami, and where they really started to incorporate the energy and the music that was going on down there. Not talking about the Sound Machine, but just Miami. And then, the interpersonal dynamics between the three brothers. 4, if you want to incorporate Andy Gibb. And it's not only do they really show what just incredible musicians and incredible songs these guys created, but also they have interviews with modern musicians who you wouldn't think necessarily would be huge Bee Gees fans, but they all talk about what an impact the Bee Gees had. And it's really sad while watching it, knowing that of the 4 brothers, Barry, who is the oldest, is the only one still standing.
That's true. So I have to tell you, in 1989, I went to see the Bee Gees in concert at Saratoga Performing Arts Center. And the only reason I went is my buddy and I went because we wanted to see the opening act. The Turtles were opening up for them. And we were just going. The tickets were cheap. They were like $10 or $15.
Yeah.
So we went to see the Turtles, and we're like, all right, well, let's stick around and see what the Bee Gees are like. And that was, I think, the one album had come out. And so, we're all just like sitting there. And this was before like you weren't really used to like big concert stage shows, lights, things like that, because this was the late 80s. It really wasn't to the extent that it is today. So we're all there, and all of a sudden all the lights just go poof, and then all these lasers just start shooting out of everywhere, and the whole stage just fills with smoke, and it's like laser pyramids, like whatever new laser gadget they had in 1989, and all of a sudden the Bee Gees just lift right up out of the center of the stage, and everybody was just like, it's the fucking Bee Gees. Like, it was.
That's awesome.
Bee Gees fans are intense. Like, they love the Bee Gees. And so I think what makes a concert great sometimes is the crowd. And that was one of concerts where, the Bee Gees are obviously a great band, but the crowd just made the experience just that much better, because people just lost their fucking minds when the Bee Gees came out.
One of my favorite Vegas memories is I saw a Bee Gees cover band. Drunk, literally, the person sitting next to me leaned over and said during the middle of the show, you don't have to sing aloud to every song.
That's when you That's when you know you're having a good time.
I had sung along to everything. God damn it, I love that. That's what I'm watching. And anybody with HBO, I highly recommend it. If you do not have HBO, reach out. I will send you my HBO login, and you can watch it.
You're a good man. We'll have to check that out. Can we talk about what else you had us watch this week?
What before that? I had one more thing I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, please do.
The Mandalorian. I know we've been talking about it through as the season has progressed. I believe this is episode 6.
7, I believe.
Maybe 7. First episode that I felt actually moved the story forward, as opposed to these side quests that start and end within each episode. I absolutely understand. I am a Bill Burr fan, so the fact that Bill Burr played such a important character in this episode, and it was also the first time I've actually can say that it feels like I saw Bill Burr act.
Yes,
as opposed to just reciting lines. Yes, really enjoyed it. Was really happy having watched it. May watch it again. I don't know. I could be wrong.
And I know,
do you know how many episodes this season is going to be?
I believe there's only one more episode this season.
That's a shame.
Yeah. But I know during the investor call Disney had, I think it was last week, they rolled out like a shit ton of new content for Disney Plus. And I know Rosario Dawson's character that we saw, I think in the 5th episode, The Jedi, she's getting her own spin-off series. I believe her character name is Oksana Beul. And then there's Rogue Squadron, I think is a movie. Like there's like a shit ton of different Star Wars shows, movies, and specials that they're going to be doing over the next couple of years for Disney Plus.
Now, is that reason enough for you to get your own Disney Plus login, or are you still going to be using mine?
I'm that close. I'm that close, but we will see.
The high point for me was when I asked you and your wife if I could use my login, or whether you guys were using it.
And Billy brings a good point. Lando Calrissian gets his own show, which we'll see. I think it depends on who they get
Yeah. I feel like a big part of the Lando character was Billy D. Williams because
without a doubt.
my generation, which you are part of, we all know him as the guy who drank Colt 45.
Yes.
He was the suave motherfucker who basically was saying, if you want to get the girls, drink Colt 45. And then suddenly he shows up in Star Wars, and keep in mind I was 5, so I understood the connection between, getting the ladies drunk and Colt 45, and this is who you were wanting. So it depends. Like you said, if they get, what was the guy? Yeah, I was going to say Danny Glover, but I knew I didn't have it right, so I just kind of rolled it back. Ron, do you want to address?
Glover, I think they should try and get Childish Gambino. I think he would do well also.
They look similar. It depends. If they get the right camera angle, they look like a very. They have a lot of similarities. Now, I feel like we're skirting the issue here because there was a TV show this week that I actually asked that we both watch last week. You made me watch the Mariah Christmas magical smorgasbord.
Yeah.
Which was just fucking terrible. Almost painful.
Yeah.
So in true form, as a friend, I sat there and said, I have to now come up with something for us to watch. And so I rolled over to Hulu and came up with Dr. Seuss's The Grinch Musical. Ron, how was it?
So starring Matthew Morrison from Glee. That's like the main thing I know him from. He played the Grinch. And I would say this, I would rather have to watch the Mariah Carey holiday special 10 times a day for an entire month rather than watch the Grinch musical again. It was, for lack of a better term, god-awful.
What was so bad about it, in your opinion, Ron?
So let me see. I think I may have jotted down some notes here. So the music was horrible. There was only one good song, and that was the song they took from the 2000 live action movie they did of the Grinch. Where Are You Christmas, which is a halfway decent song, the only song I recognize. Music. Okay. A lot of things didn't make sense to me. So the dog Max narrates this musical.
Narrator?
Old Max, apparently. And the guy who is playing Old Max appears to be doing a bad Dennis Hopper impersonation through the entire show. Also, what I don't get is Max in the cartoon has a white coat, the dog, and younger Max has a white coat. But like the old Max just has like all gray, so it doesn't even look like the same dog. Like it does.
He's not wearing a coat. He's just walking around in fur.
Just does not look anything alike. When you look at just the costumes in general, it looks like there were maybe 3, maybe 4 people putting together the costumes for like the Who's and everyone else, and none of them were talking to each other about, because nothing coordinated. There was also a point where the kid that plays young Max the dog, old Max, the adult playing the role, scratches the young dog's belly. Seemed a little illegal to me. I was uncomfortable with that. And I think what annoys me the most is that Matthew Morrison said that he drew from Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal of the Joker for his take on the Grinch.
What? So, there was nothing even remotely similar to it.
It was just bad. It was just bad, and none of it made sense. I cannot think of one good part of this show.
There was one good part. And I think we have it on video. I sent you a link to it, which I pulled it down. And if you can play that, because for me, this was the one scene. This was the scene where I felt like this show encapsulates everything that is wrong with Christmas specials. If you can play it, I'd appreciate it.
We've had this issue with us trying to play YouTube videos on the live broadcast before, and it's gotten us taken down. I mean, how many? Brian, you get me so goddamn angry sometimes, Brian. Get me so goddamn. Brian, we want the Patreon Platinum Standard. They're back in Joe Rogan's studios making podcasts right now because of us, because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every fucking studio at night, strip clubs, fleshlight producers, and they're looking at us and asking us to make their podcasts. We are creating thousands of jobs, you motherfucker. I don't ever want to see it again. And if you don't do it, you're down to 22% ownership. If I do see you do it again, you're fucking gone. And anyone on this crew, that's it. And you, don't ever fucking do it again.
Ron, I'm sorry. It was just a short video. I'm sorry.
That's it. No apologies. You can tell it to the people that are losing their Ron and Brian coffee mugs and Ron and Brian hoodies because our industry is shut down. That's what I sleep with every night, Brian. The future of this fucking industry. I'm sorry. I am beyond your apologies. I have told you, and now I want it. And if you don't do it, you're out. We are not shutting the fucking podcast down. Is it understood?
Yes, it's understood. I'm sorry. I thought it would be good for the podcast. Can we move on to a different? Can we move on to a different subject?
We can. I believe we were going to talk about Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Going off on his Mission Impossible cast, apparently due to not following COVID rules.
Now, it's so Tom Cruise. This is Mission Impossible 7,
I believe,
which is filming in the middle of a pandemic, and they've already had multiple employees on the set who have tested positive for COVID. They've had to shut down. They rented a cruise ship where all of the employees that are working on this movie are quarantining away from the public, supposedly. And then there was this a recording that was made and released earlier this week of Tom Cruise viciously going after some employees on the set who he felt were not following COVID protocol. Ron, do we have a clip of that?
We do.
Making movies right now because of us. Because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every studio at night. Insurance companies. Producers. And they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you I don't ever want to see it again. Ever. And if you don't do it, you're fired. And I see you do it again, you're gone. And anyone on this crew does it. That's it. And you too, and you too, and you. Don't you ever do it again. That's it. No apologies. You can tell it to the people that are losing their homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night. And the future of this industry. So I'm sorry, I'm beyond your apologies. I have told you, and now I want it. And if you don't do it, you're out. We are not shutting this movie down. Is it understood? If I see it again, you're gone. And so are you. So you're going to cost him his job. And I see it on the set, you're gone. And you're gone. That's it. Am I clear? Do you understand what I want? Do you understand the responsibility that you have? Because I will deal with your reason. And if you can't be reasonable, and I can't deal with your logic, you're fired. That's it. That is it.
So yeah, I think he got his point across.
What I find interesting is that I doubt that the scientists that were working for Pfizer or Moderna, working on the COVID vaccines, ever screamed at each other with a sense of self-importance the way Tom Cruise is screaming at the at the workers on the Mission Impossible 7 set, as if the future of the Earth rides on their ability to deliver a shitty movie in 6 months on Netflix.
And apparently 5 people did quit the production after he had another rant the following day. And people really are falling on, a couple different sides of the fence. I mean, there are people that feel his tone was warranted, and then there's people that were like, it's the right message, but the wrong way to deliver it. Just very, very interesting. Question for you. Better rant, this one or Christian Bale's against the lighting guy a few years back?
I'm got to go with Christian Bale, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because Tom Cruise's rant, there's actually stakes that there are actually stakes to what's going on right now. He's trying to film in a pandemic. People are dying of a disease that they are struggling to contain. If people on his set continue to not socially distance, to not wear masks, and there are further instances of this virus being spread on set, then it is possible that his insurance companies who are backing the production of this movie will pull policies, and then this movie gets shut down.
He's on the phone every night with those insurance companies, Brian.
Well, they show him doing this, like talking into his walkie-talkie. So there are stakes there. Christian Bale ranting at a lighting guy was literally just Christian Bale, really super intense, and a guy just got into his field of vision. And so the other thing was that felt really personal. That felt like I'm going after you and you in particular, where Tom Cruise kind of sent like he was screaming at everybody in the room.
Right.
Let me rephrase. You mentioned earlier that people seem to be coming down on two sides, understanding where he's coming from and finding his tone unacceptable. Where do you fall, Ron?
I think, yes, he did seem to yell at everybody, but he did seem to have 2 people that he was directing this to specifically. Yeah. So I'm more of the, praise in public, warn in private. So I think it would more, better to maybe pull him aside and be like, listen, don't fuck this up for us.
Now,
I could also see with the amount of money that is in the Mission Impossible franchise, I can also imagine the level of pressure that puts on a person to deliver a final project, and I could see where that would go.
Now, my question to you is, if we can just put a pin in that comment, because I think it's valid, but if we could circle back to the comment you just said, which is that you are more of a praise in public, warn in private?
Yes.
Now, would you describe that as your managerial style?
My managerial style, yes, not my podcasting style.
Understood. So how does that style come into play when you are out of work?
You have to practice every now and then. Every now and then, I will take the dog aside and say, and I don't want to blow by this comment. I need to give Billy his credit because he commented after my rant that if the show is creating thousands of jobs, why doesn't Ron have one?
That's better than what I have. And do you see we have our first spam comment?
I'm loving this. Over on
Put it up. We got our first spam.
2259 says, want to become famous? Buy followers, primes, and viewers. And there's a link there. Probably should not click that link. I'm going to go out.
Well, it's got the .ru, so I'm going to assume that Russia, which has recently hacked all of our federal government databases, Russia has now infiltrated the Ron and Brian podcast. We've made it, Ron. We have made it.
It is sad. Brian, are you ready for another bit?
I'd actually forgotten about it. Yeah, okay.
So we actually, I think we actually did a shorter version of this months back. So there is, obviously there's that fantastic website out there, Cameo, where you can pay celebrities, athletes, musicians, whatever, to record, personal messages for you. So this is Brian to see if he can guess who costs more on the Cameo website. And we've kind of categorized this a bit. We're going to start off with that great 80s TV show, The Dukes of Hazzard. Them Duke boys are both on Cameo. Tom Wopat and John Schneider. Who costs more?
John Schneider.
John Schneider. You are correct. He's $300. Tom Wopat is $150. Very good.
I assumed it just because he was the pretty boy of the two.
And he had some albums too, so I think maybe that's why. I don't know.
Okay. There's absolutely no way that he is worth 300. The only way he's worth 300 is if he's sitting there saying that he would rather do one for 300 than three at 100 a pop.
Listen, there are going to be some numbers here that are going to make you shake your head. I will just give you that much. Sticking with 80s TV show, Miami Vice star Don Johnson versus Knight Rider star David Hasselhoff. Who costs?
I'm going to say David Hasselhoff.
Really? Well, my friend, I'm afraid to tell you that you lose by $1. Don Johnson is $500. David Hasselhoff coming in at a solid $4.99. Sorry.
That was cheap. That was cheap. You know that.
I thought so, a little bit. All right, going to Shark Tank. Are you a fan of the Shark Tank, Brian?
Love the Shark Tank.
All right, so we are asking you, Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary versus FUBU founder Damon John. Who costs more?
I actually did not know until this very moment that Damon John spells his name that way.
Well, now you
I always thought it was Damon.
Nope.
I've got to go Kevin O'Leary because of the egotistical air that he carries himself with. There's no way that he would allow himself to be underpriced.
All right. Well, hold on to your seats, Brian. You are correct. Kevin Leary clocked in at $1,200. Damon John, a steal relatively at $799.
That is ludicrous. There is absolutely no way. I mean, it'd be one thing if that was for charity. If I could do a write-off for paying $800 for Damon John to leave a message for a sick child. Okay, I can't imagine who the hell's got $800 to piss away on one of the guys from Shark Tank.
I don't know. Speaking of Christmas shows, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Beverly D'Angelo versus Randy Quaid. Who costs more?
I'm going to go with Beverly D'Angelo. I'm going to say that Randy Quaid has gone through somewhat of a mental breakdown over these last few years. He's been arrested a few times. I think he was evicted from some homes. I'm going to say that he is more interested in getting the word out than Beverly D'Angelo, who probably sees herself still as a desired commodity.
Well, Beverly D'Angelo, you can get her cameo for $200, whereas Randy Quaid is clocking in at a solid $1,000. Now,
oh my God!
You may ask yourself, why is Randy Quaid charging $1,000 for a cameo? And he tells you in the description on his cameo because he is raising funds for the Trump-Pence legal fund. Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay.
That was a shocker. All right, this is a tough. I will be impressed if you get this one. We're going old school rap right now. Dougie Fresh versus Rob Bass. Which one costs more?
Rob Bass. Dougie Fresh is a man of the people. He's from the streets. He kept his feet in the streets, and he understands the struggle.
All right, you are correct. Rob Bass, $150 versus Dougie Fresh, only $75. A bargain, if you will. All right, sticking with music, we're going to the group Anthrax. Guitarist Scott Ian versus bass guitarist Frank Bello.
Scott Ian.
Okay.
He's got way more. He has way more avenues of celebrity than Frank Bello does.
I thought
Scotty
I
Ian is
on that one, but yeah, Scotty Ian, $75, Frank Bello, $25.
You get Frank Bello for $25?
$25, yes.
Honestly, Scotty Ian 75 is not that's not
I was
unreasonable.
surprised he was under 100. I'm not gonna lie. All right, let's go over to stand-up comedy. Gilbert Gottfried versus Andrew Dice Clay.
Dice Clay. He has a Dice Clay's got to be more expensive.
Right.
There's no way that he would his persona, the Dice Man. There's no way that he would be doing this for a low amount of money. And I think Godfrey is just so cheap that I think he wants to make as much money as possible. I'm going to see Dice Clay coming in at maybe $250. I'm going to say Godfrey is $99.
All right. I mean, you're in the ballpark. Dice at $299. Gilbert Gottfried at $150.
All right. I can see that.
All right. Now, if you will indulge me, we're going to go over to the world of pro wrestling. WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley. You know him as Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, going up against another WWE Hall of Famer, X-Pac, best known for the porn video One Night in China and being able to look at China's very
gigantic clitoris. It was a gigantic. It was
big. It was definitely big. So Mick Foley versus X-Pac, who charges more?
I'm going to say Mick Foley only because I know who he is, and I have never heard of X-Pac, even though I have watched that man perform oral sex on the world's tiniest penis.
So close one here, but X-Pac gets the nod. He's $100, while Mick Foley is $95. I will say that Mick Foley does his cameos for charity, so I think he puts himself at a lower price point to encourage more of them to raise money for his charity.
Okay, I was also going to go with Mick Foley has children.
That too.
Whereas I'm going to guess based on the proclivities of Mr. X-Pac having sex with China, I'm going to say probably not too many junior X-Pacs running around this world.
There you go. Let's go into the world of baseball, Brian. New York Mets, Keith Hernandez versus Doc Gooden. Yeah, it's the tough one, isn't it?
Doc Gooden's the crackhead. I mean, like he takes any money he can get for a rock. Keith Hernandez, star of Seinfeld,
two-time world champion,
shared a league MVP when he was with the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm going to say Keith Hernandez here.
All right. Keith Hernandez, $125. Doc Gooden, $70. I got another one. You talk about crack. Let's do two crackheads against each other from the New York Mets. Now we've got Doc Gooden going up against Nails, Lenny Dykstra.
Lenny Dykstra, hands down. That guy is so off the rails over the past years that he has no idea how to price himself.
All right. Lenny, $95. Doc Gooden, $70. One more before we wrap this up. Our beloved New York Yankees, Mr. October, Reggie Jackson versus Tino Martinez, part of the world's champion teams from the 90s. Who costs more on Cameo, Reggie Jackson or Tino Martinez?
Yeah, I'm going to go with number 44 here and say Reggie Jackson.
All right. Well, you lose this one, but it's a close one. Tino Martinez, $250. Reggie Jackson, $1 less at $249. Now, out of these two, where do you think Dave Winfield comes in on Cameo compared to these two?
I'm going to say he is in the 125 range.
$283.
What a random exact number.
It is, yes.
I was on the website earlier this week.
Were you?
And of course, I'm always on Cameo. I'm always looking. I'm too cheap to pull the plug on something.
Right.
I just like to look at it. I saw Debbie Gibson, former teen sensation from Long Island. She's charging like $250, something along maybe like $225. But what I noticed was that on the website, they show the videos that she does.
Yeah.
And each one, she's wearing the stupid black fucking hat that was like her signature look back in the day. I don't remember which video it was, but she was wearing like that cute little hat. And it's so sad that now fast forward 40 years and she feels that she has to wear the hat as an accoutrement to Cameo videos.
And it's important to watch the videos because it really gives you an idea of what you might get. Like some people really put some effort into it. And then others, like I went on Billy West's Cameo page. So Billy West did a lot of the voices from whatchamacallit, Futurama, Ren and Stimpy. He was on Howard Stern for a number of years.
That's how I know him.
He's only like $50. But he's literally doing the cameos in his car on his phone with the windows rolled down while like there's a windstorm going on. So you can barely hear what he's talking about.
But in his defense, I mean, Trap Manny also, Billy just put up a comment over here, which explains the 283.
Yes.
That was his lifetime batting average.
Dave Winfield's lifetime batting average is 283. So that makes sense why he charges $283.
But Trap Manny also did his cameos from his car while waiting in traffic.
But at least the windows were closed, so you didn't get
correct. You could hear
going on there.
Now I don't know. Are we going to talk? Do you want to talk now about our plans for the rest of the month?
We can talk about our plans a little bit. I mean, I think we should remind people that next week we will be broadcasting on Wednesday, the 23rd. That will be our Christmas show. We will not be broadcasting on Christmas Eve, and then the following week we probably won't have a live show the following week. We may have a best of show if I can find some free time in between pro formas and shoveling snow to put something together.
So does that mean that next Wednesday we will be doing our after dark pajama party?
I think it's only fair because we definitely, if nothing else, we definitely won't do the after dark the week of New Year's. So we will do our Pajama Jammy Jam next Wednesday night, the 23rd. So Patreon subscribers, get yourself ready, get your head right, get your pajamas ready. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, visit ronandbrianpodcast.com. Upper right-hand corner of the homepage is where you can click on. Brian's showing off his Ron and Brian mug right there. I was wearing the Ron and Brian face mask earlier. We've got a bunch of swag that you can get on the Patreon. Just some
stickers, magnets, shot glasses, all the good stuff. Tote bags, sweatshirts, t-shirts, condoms, IUDs.
Anyway, we got a couple of more things that we want to get to before we get out of here. Another video clip which we just loved. Speaking of Cameo, someone hired Smokey Robinson to do a cameo for a family member to wish them happy holidays. And you got to let this about 40 seconds. And it's apparently the person that the cameo is for. He and Smokey Robinson used to live on the same street. So it starts off very...
His mother. This guy gets it for his mother who lived in on the same block as Smokey like 60 years ago.
So the first half of it is just some reminiscing, and then it just really goes off the rails. So Smokey Robinson, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Marco. How you doing? Surprise, surprise. This is Smokey Robinson. I know you didn't expect to hear from me. But I was contacted by your sons, Jeff and Jared, and they told me that you used to live in Detroit across the street from me. And gosh, that's beautiful. How you doing again? Nice talking to you again, I guess. But anyway, you're living in Vancouver now, and they wanted me to wish you happy Chanukah. I have no idea what Chanukah is, but happy Chanukah because they said so. Anyway, God bless you, babe. And enjoy Chanukah. Have a wonderful time.
Brian,
let's go.
Let me take a moment to wish you a happy Chanukah.
Whatever that is, I don't know what it is.
So more disconcerting to you, Brian, Smokey's veneers or the fact that he's had so much plastic surgery that I feel he has no control over any of his facial features at this point.
It is absolutely the fact that his face looks like a plastic mold of a human face.
It's like it's almost like trying to blink and just the one eyelid twitches a bit, but he can't actually close his eyes.
Hey, Marco, it's Smokey. I bet you didn't think you'd be talking to me today, but happy Chanukah.
All right. And before we wrap things up here, Brian.
Hold on a second. I have a great idea for next week's show.
All right.
You and I film cameos for each other as if we had ordered it for the other person. So I will film a cameo as if I wanted to send my year-end holiday greetings to you, and you do the same for me.
All right. I think we can do that. Before we get out of here, though, Brian, you mentioned that we have some corrections.
I did have a couple. Yes.
We usually try to be perfect, and I think we do a very good job of it. Sometimes we do screw up, and when we do try and set the record straight. So, Brian, take it away with correction.
All right. Now, last week, I was talking about Broadway's Tony Awards, and I said they were named after Tony Randall, star of television's The Odd Couple. I was incorrect. Listener Robbie G in Calgary reached out, and he pointed out to me that they're actually named after Antoinette Perry, co-founder of the American Theater Wing.
That would make more sense because they're very old.
First Tony Award issued 1947. Well, no, it was to that year's Broadway plays.
Okay.
Ingrid Bergman won an award that first year.
All right. Any other corrections?
Absolutely. This is one you made. You're not perfect.
No.
Last week when we were talking about the upcoming negotiations between the Afghan government and the Taliban, Ron, you said that Hashmat Ghani Ahmadzai would be representing the Afghan government when in fact it is Abdullah Abdullah. I know it is very easy to confuse.
I get mixed up all the time. All right,
it's easy. You hear Abdullah, and your brain just automatically goes to his neighbor Hashmat Ghani Ahmadzi. It's an easy mistake to make, but I did want to point that out to you.
Okay,
Last but not least, when we were talking about the New York Yankees and our baseball card collection, Ron, you said that Lou Gehrig led the 1936 Yankees in hit by pitch. But however, he actually came in second with 7 to shortstop Frankie Crosetti, who had 12. We like to stay accurate on the show, so I wanted to correct you on that as well.
All right. Well, thank you for fixing that up, Brian. Do we have anything else for this week? Our second to last live show of the year.
I'm going to say this, and then I'm done. How great was it? We just did an hour and 15 and did not spend time talking about coronavirus.
We had it on the list and we didn't even need it. We
didn't need it.
God willing,
didn't need it. We provided the people a coronas-free world for 75 minutes, and damn it felt good.
The Pfizer vaccine's out there. The Moderna vaccine is going to get approved this week. So hopefully we won't need to talk about coronavirus, but we definitely avoided it this time. In the meantime, we are getting ready for After Dark exclusive content for our Patreon subscribers. So we will see you folks momentarily. Everybody else, we will see you next week, next Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Wednesday.
Special day next week, Wednesday, December 23rd. We will be live. Brian, as always, I love you, my friend.
Love you too.
All right. Take care of each other.